Oceanography News.
The stars above me are closing in, so water roll me home. Day will come, but night is long. The siren song still calls me young. The fading candle is growing dim, so water pull me in.
Knowledge of the oceans is more than a matter of curiosity. Our very survival may hinge upon it.
Welcome to Ocean News 16. In this week's episode, we kick it off with a story at a Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution. What's it like to fly into the eye of a hurricane? MIT Hui grad student Lauren Sen shared his recent experiences on hurricane hunter research flights ahead of Hurricane Erin with WBZ CBS Boston. Backed by the Office of Naval Research, Sen is working with Hui senior scientist Steve Jane and teams from the United States Air Force and Naval Oceanographic Office to roll out a cutting-edge network of ocean sensors. Using data from floats, satellites, and high-res models, they're taking hurricane forecasting to the next level.
It was his very first time with the hurricane hunters riding through Hurricane Erin high above the Atlantic.
It was, despite getting airsick, I thought it was still well worth it. Seeing how everything's done, getting experience for it.
So Sen was part of a team that tossed ocean sensors out the back of an Air Force C-130 aircraft. These sensors parachute into the water and measure the temperature and salinity of the water. That data is being collected as part of a project called Sasquatch, designed to improve forecasting by linking ocean conditions with storm intensity.
By taking more observations, you're improving these models so you get better forecasts in the future and over time. Just having the ability to see how everything is collected and how everything is done, that made a lasting impact on me.
This air delivery system of CTDs would be perfect for the D2 CTD technology, where we can incorporate our existing CTD tech into the existing platforms that they are deploying in the ocean. The next story comes out of Lloyd's Maritime Institute, and it was something I found rather cool and kind of interesting. The world's first underwater jetpack. Redefining how we explore beneath the waves, this cutting-edge tech lets divers glide effortlessly underwater with speed, agility, and control like never before. Not just adventure gear, but a glimpse into the future of marine mobility.
This is the world's first underwater jetpack. It enables you to fly through the water at speeds of up to 3 meters per second. That's the equivalent drag of over 180 miles per hour in air. Weighing in at only 13.5 kilos, this engineering marvel is ultra lightweight and compact. It clips on in seconds. You steer with your body, so it can't force you down. You're always in control. Thrust, enabled from a handheld controller, is smooth, responsive, and intuitive. The propulsion system, patented, completely unique, engineered for power and efficiency. Battery life gives you 90 minutes in the water, and it takes just 75 minutes to recharge. Almost every component was designed from the ground up by inventor Archie O'Brien, who invested more than 30,000 hours of development. The jetpack is marine life friendly. Wild dolphins love to welcome us as we match their agility and movement. Between dives, the whole system floats, so you can rest on the surface or cruise on your back to the next launch point. You can even launch from land straight into the water like nothing else on Earth. It's strong enough to go upstream, but even more fun flying down. There's an adjustable safety limit set to 3 meters from factory, and for experienced flyers, the jetpack is engineered to reach 40 meters deep. Discover new locations and explore with confidence. This is Cudajet, a water sports revolution.
Next story comes out of the USGS, US Geological Survey. USGS scientists are providing critical data to support emergency response efforts as glacier flooding affects Juneau, Alaska. The glacier has become a natural dam, trapping water that is now being released and creating flood conditions. The flooding has become an annual threat since 2011, with record-breaking floods over the past 2 years that have impacted more than 300 homes. Our scientists use satellite cameras, lasers, and real-time water sensors to track conditions, providing critical information to support a multi-agency emergency response. Live views of the river and glacier conditions are available on our HIVIS website. The video is a time-lapse of Glacial Lake from July 21st to August 13th. Our next story also comes out of the USGS. Quote, water connects us all, fundamentally shaping our world as it cycles across the globe. The water cycle describes where water is found on Earth and how it moves. Water can be stored in the atmosphere, on Earth's surface, or below the ground. It can be in a liquid, solid, or gaseous state. Water moves between the places it is stored at large scales and at very small scales. Our water cycle diagram depicts the global water cycle, as well as how human water use affects where water is stored and how it moves. Personal shout out to the USGS team that we team up with in the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution Softball League. And this was our team again this year. For the second straight year, we're on the USGS team. We had an absolute blast again, made a lot of good connections, and hopefully we'll see you guys again next season. Our next story comes out of Kraken Robotics. Subsea LiDAR technology developed by our recently acquired 3D at depth team delivers millimeter-level accuracy for metrology projects even at depths up to 4,000 meters. Our LiDAR sensors require no contact with the subsea infrastructure and can quickly measure the distance between subsea structures, providing the critical data needed for offshore oil and gas, renewable energy, and other complex marine operations. The result? Fast, repeatable, and incredibly accurate measurements that reduce operational risk, minimize vessel time, and support confident decision-making. You can learn more about their subsea metrology process at the link in the description box.
In this video, we'll show you the process of performing a subsea LiDAR metrology. Initially, we integrate the SL4 onto the client's ROV, and it will land at its first scan position. We'll perform a collection of base scans between the subsea structures. Then collect additional tilt scans to capture the hub pressure caps. The ROV will be cleared to proceed to the second scan position. We see the ROV moving over into position. We have completed the scanning at the new location. The subsea data and terrestrial dimensional control is registered using vertex and cloud constraints. For structures without dimensional control, hub centers are derived from a measured offset visible in the point cloud. The metrology data and seabed profile is extracted for client deliverables.
This next story caught my eye because I like to ski, and everyone that skis, especially the expert level terrain, knows that these are the types of consequences that could happen to any of us. So this story definitely caught my eye, and I wanted to share it with other people. While battling back from paralyzing accident, URI student searches for shipwrecks. Jake Bonney looks forward to continuing his doctoral studies in ocean engineering while rehabilitating from devastating ski accident. Heavily influenced by his father's role as a naval architect, Jake Bonney dreamed of working in ocean science from a young age. Quote, growing up, I went to the office with him and tagged along on boat launches and stability tests, said Bonney. My father printed out drawings of the ships he was working on, and I colored them in. Years later, Bonney's father accompanied him on tours of universities that offered ocean engineering programs. He chose to attend the University of Rhode Island. Toward the end of Bonnie's bachelor degree studies in 2019, he participated in a 3-week science and engineering internship program in which he learned how to pilot a remotely operated vehicle, ROV, aboard the exploration vessel Nautilus. I was immediately hooked, said Bonnie about the experience. Bonnie continued his ocean engineering studies at URI, completing his master's degree and starting his PhD in 2021. As a graduate student, Bonnie operated and maintained ROVs aboard the Nautilus during 16 different ocean exploration trust expeditions, including trips to habitats along the Olympic coast of Washington State, a chain of underwater mountains near Hawaii, and the seafloor around Palau. In 2024, Bonnie gained more skills and responsibility as he assisted with upgrades to the ROV Hercules. He played an instrumental role in the software development and integration of the new hydraulic manifolds and manipulator arm into the control system. Earlier this year, an accident brought Bonnie's research travels and doctoral studies to a halt when he fractured 2 vertebrae in a ski accident, leaving him paralyzed from just under the chest down. On January 14th, the last day of a ski trip to Sunday River Resort in Newry, Maine, with his girlfriend Angela, Bonnie hit a patch of ice, causing him to lose control and slide headfirst toward the edge of a trail, where he impacted a tree, fracturing his C6 and C7 vertebrae. And when skiing on the East Coast, anyone could hit a patch of ice. This could have happened to absolutely anyone, especially someone skiing on more expert terrain. Quote from Bonnie, "When I was lying there on the mountain, one of my first thoughts was that I may never go to sea and fly an ROV again," said Bonnie, an East Greenwich RI resident and Barrington RI native. Bonnie was airlifted by helicopter to Maine Medical Center in Portland, where he underwent 2 surgeries, one to relieve the pressure fractured vertebrae, for putting on his spinal cord, and another to fuse the vertebrae and insert metal rods to prevent further injury. After 11 days in intensive care, he was transferred to Spaulding Rehab Hospital in Boston. Mental and physical battle. The public became more aware of spinal cord injuries after Christopher Reeve's accident during the equestrian competition 30 years ago. But the health issues that often accompany paralysis aren't as well known. Your bladder and your bowels don't function like they used to. Maintaining blood pressure is a constant battle, and you're more susceptible to blood clots, muscle atrophy, loss of bone density, and pressure wounds. The list goes on, said Bonnie. Doctors tell you that your life has changed and that you may recover, but the extent of the recovery is almost impossible to predict. Bonnie's injuries was classified as an incomplete spinal cord injury with an American Spinal Injury Association score of C, which meant his spinal cord wasn't severed and the neural pathways were present. I was told the first 12 to 18 months are crucial, and the more you can get your body moving in the rehab, the better, said Bonnie. Not knowing what the return will look like or how long it will take is the hardest part mentally. You'll learn to celebrate the smallest of wins, such as wiggling a single toe. After 2 months of battling physical and mental challenges, Bonnie received an unexpected video call that lifted his spirits. Jason Fahey and Dave Casagrande of the Ocean Exploration Cooperative Institute reached out to me with a prospect of trialing new remote piloting software for their ROV, said Bonnie. I was immediately on board. We coordinated a test day that fit into my rehabilitation schedule. They had the ROV roadie at the Graduate School of Oceanography's pier, and I took control of the vehicle remotely from Spaulding Hospital. When Fahey led a team of students, scientists, and engineers from URI on the first survey of known shipwrecks in the Lake Ontario National Marine Sanctuary in late May, Bonnie was asked to participate remotely. Quote, I was charged with building a team of URI's most talented young engineers and scientists to help NOAA survey shipwrecks in Lake Ontario, and Jake is the best ROV pilot enrolled at URI, said Fahey, expedition leader and associate director of the Ocean Exploration Cooperative Institute. Using new technology to operate the ROV remotely was challenging and rewarding for Bonnie. It was a great experience with some valuable lessons, said Bonnie. When you're not on the ship, the natural situation awareness drops significantly. I had access to the ROV camera and sonar feeds, but relied on communication with a standby pilot on board the ship to alleviate some of the lack of awareness. I was initially concerned by the remote internet connection and the potential for lag in video streams, but it turned out to be almost unnoticeable, unquote. Bonnie piloted the ROV for 4 hours on May 28th, completing a photogrammetry survey of the steamship Iona, which sank in 1912. Here is an image of Bonnie flying the ROV remotely. Quote, I previously flew ROVs on other shipwrecks, but this was a bit different, said Bonnie. Rhodey is much smaller, so you can fit into smaller spaces, get closer to obstructions, and really maneuver throughout the wreck. It took me 10 to 15 minutes before I settled in and really got a feel for how Rhodey handled. I slowly surveyed the entirety of the wreck, making sure to capture multiple angles of every feature. The real-time photogrammetry model display from the Voyous camera was very helpful. As thrilling as it was for Bonnie to participate in the expedition, it was also exciting for his peers to have their teammate involved. Quote, it wasn't lost on me or the team that our effort to enable remote piloting would boost Jake's morale and hopefully inspire his continued recovery, unquote, said Fahey. Jake is a valued member of our team, and we wouldn't have done it without him. Due to Bonnie's successful contribution, he has been tasked by the Ocean Exploration Cooperative Institute with developing ways to improve the remote piloting experience. Quote, I used to joke that I wanted to fly an ROV from my couch one day, and then it happened, said Bonnie. Now there are plans to incorporate remote piloting into more expeditions. The tough road ahead. At Spaulding Hospital, Bonnie did 2 to 3 hours of physical therapy a day, 5 days a week. Now at home, Bonnie goes to physical therapy once a week in Providence and trains 3 times a week at a facility called Journey Forward in Canton, Massachusetts, that specializes in neural recovery. The process can be painful, frustrating, and lonely, but surveying a shipwreck with the ROV inspired the URI student to stick with it. It reinvigorated my fight to continue to get better and rejoin my shipmates in the future, said Bonnie. Bonnie's condition has shown improvement, with him regaining some sensation below the level of injury. He still can't feel hot or cold or pain, but the sense of touch has started to return. In April, he saw first movement in his right toe. Since then, some activation has returned in his hip flexors and quadriceps. Bonnie's family set up a GoFundMe page to offset his medical and rehabilitation expenses, and you can find the link to that in the description of this video. Bonnie plans to continue his doctoral studies in January 2026 if he returns to the URI as a full-time student. He'll complete his PhD about 2 years later. Quote, prior to my injury, the focus of my PhD was using an autonomous vehicle and sensor systems to monitor harmful algal blooms in coastal ponds and lakes, unquote, said Bonnie. That required a lot of field work and data collection. Post-injury, my involvement with the shipwreck expedition has shifted my interest toward the development of rote operations and research that require less field work. However, the itch to return to the ocean is always present, said Bonnie.
Knowledge of the oceans is more than a matter of curiosity. Our very survival may hinge upon it.